Hey guys, welcome back to the shop. Frank here. I've got a new toy, so I thought I would open it up and let's take it out of the box and get it working. This is the Bambu Lab A1 3D printer. It's got a 10-inch cube envelope and does not have an enclosure. So I had a smaller 3D printer I bought probably 5 years ago. It was a Monoprice Mini 2. And I used it for a couple of years and it quit working. The cable to the bed, which has the heater power, and failed. Tried replacing it, never could get it to work right again. So I haven't used a 3D printer probably in 2 years, and felt like it's time to go ahead and get a replacement. And I was looking at, the enclosed printers versus open printers. I did want a larger print volume than my Monoprice Mini. The Monoprice Mini print volume was like a 4-inch cube. I think it was 120 millimeters cubed, and which limits what you can print, right? So I wanted something with about a 10-inch cube print volume. I looked at the ones with the enclosures. The only thing I print is basically all I use is PLA. And you don't need an enclosure to print with PLA. So my understanding is this printer will probably not work with ABS or some of the more sophisticated filaments. And it's monochrome. It only prints in one color, though I think you can buy a kit to upgrade it to multiple filaments. I don't see a whole lot of use for multiple filaments. It just gets a lot more complicated than where I am right now. Just like to be able to print basic parts. So this one was on sale. I think it was $3.99 on sale for $3.39. And of course, as with all my stuff, I pay my own money. There's no sponsorship or anything here. So we'll see what we got. All right, looks like it's packed pretty well. Foam, desiccant, all right. That's an extra plate. All right, parts, extension cord. Looks like the filament feed tube. some filament. Boat model components kit. So that's your first print. Okay. Let's see. That comes off. Get rid of this plastic. Let's find the quick start. So that's magnetic. Okay. So we got some small parts there. These screws apparently unlock the heat bed. Printer frame, put the printer frame on the table as shown. Put the base housing in there. Got the zip tie and cardboard wrapped around the tool head and X-axis. Remove the zip ties and two foam paddings. Now you push the heat bed fully to the front end where the screen is located, which is here. Open the Y-axis cover, pull out the Y-axis cover gently. Install the 10 screws in the holes highlighted in green. Base housing. So they give you a pack of screws here. All right, then it's saying bring it all this way. 2 more screws. All right, so it says to slide the Y-axis cover back in place. All right, so there's a USB-C connector here, and there's a underneath here is the female connector. So we just push this in. There we go. Okay, then this screw gets turned in. All right, so we plug these in according to the colors. All right, so green one here. Looks like the yellow one here. Or that's white. And then the orange one here. Okay. Yeah, so there's a little cable channel here that I had closed. And we turn the screen like that. Push the tool head to the middle of the rail, leaving enough space for purge wiper installation. I have to say all the parts are well labeled here. I mean, this one says for purge wiper. So I think it's got a little bit of thread locking compound on it. All right, just needed to push the purge wiper in all the way till it seats. Turn it on. English, North America, connect to Wi-Fi. Select Wi-Fi. SSID. Network connected. Go download the Handy app, Play Store. Handy app, Bambu. Bambu handy, install. I've got you do this before they finish assembly. I still have to put the spool, looks like. All right, while it's doing that, let's assemble the printer spool. Looks like it just clips on there. Let's load a roll of filament. I have filament from my previous printer. Got gray, white, silver, and gold. I have black too. Okay, I'm just going to load this gray filament. All the cable organizer. Hang the filament spool and feed the filament line into the tube. Okay. There we go. All right, so what it's doing is it's going through a test calibration procedure, motor noise cancellation, measure the subtle individual differences of each motor for the active noise cancellation algorithm. So it has noise cancellation. Let me go turn lights back on. All right, I'm just going to let this go through its process and I'll bring you back when it's done. It's going to take 15 or 20 minutes, maybe half an hour. It's got several things to do. Bed leveling, noise cancellation, and then there's another, I didn't remember all the things it said it was going to do. All right, I lubricated the Y-axis guide rails with the oil. Waiting for it to update the firmware. 74%. All right, so it looks like it's going through the bed leveling procedure. This is real time, real speed, actual speed. So this is the sample, of course, and it's printed with PLA. It printed the top of the cabin with no supports, which is something I've not seen. My old printer couldn't do that. So, pretty cool. All right, so that's first look at a Bambu Lab A1 printer. And as I mentioned, I bought this printer with my own money, so there's no sponsorship. I had a smaller 3D printer before, a Monoprice Mini 2, which was very inexpensive. And they worked for a couple of years and then quit working. I haven't had a 3D printer for a couple of years. So I thought I would get one. This has got a pretty good size printing envelope, 10-inch cube basically. Got my butchie right here. So I decided to get one without an enclosure because all I ever print is PLA, and I think that works fine in this situation. I think it's limited to the materials, the filaments that it can use without an enclosure. So it works great. I like the touchscreen interface. It doesn't come with adequate instructions. They give you this little booklet. I mean, it tells you how to set it up, but it doesn't give you enough information to do your first print. Especially loading the filament. The process for loading filament is not clear. The touch screen doesn't really, it says, you know, load the filament. So it would be better and the only reason I think I got it working is because I had a 3D printer before. So if you are brand new to a 3D printer, you're going to be confused about loading the filament because it's not clear. Otherwise, the interface is on the screen is pretty good. It's a touch screen. Can't complain about the printing envelope. I have to find something else to print. I've got some old G-code files from when I had my previous printer. I may pull some of them out, see how this does. I'll tell you, I did find an old STL file of a model rocket component, an Apollo capsule, and I put that through the slicer and created the G-code. So I'll show you the time lapse here of that print operation. It went great. I mean, I had in fact, I wasn't even here to watch it. I watched it lay down the first couple layers and then I left. I came back and it was done. They worked great. I found a spot for my printer here in the shop. What do you think, Brutus? Is the spot okay? So I just finished printing this Apollo capsule. This is scaled for a model rocket. And you can see it has a transition section here which goes inside the body tube of the rocket. And I used this before for a model I built several years ago. And you saw the time-lapse photography that the camera, so there's a camera right here on the machine, and there's a shutter you can put over it, and when you go to print something, it prompts you, do you want to do a time-lapse video of it or not? And if I'm correct, I haven't tried it, but I believe with the app, or maybe you're also with your computer, you can check remotely on the status of your print job through the network and that camera. Now, I will show you one more thing about the print head. It has room to feed 4 filaments. So if you buy the automatic material system, or whatever they call it, AMS, you can hook up 4 different spools of filament here. So there's room for 4 filaments feed. And I believe, and I have not done this, so I can't confirm or tell you how well it works, but I believe that it will change filaments as you're printing. Now there is a filament cutter here. You press this to cut the filament, and then you can tell it to purge the remaining filament. And I don't know whether you need to cut the filament and do that purge manually before color changes or not, so I need to do some more research on that. But you know, as I mentioned, this is, I really only ever use 1 filament. Maybe at some point I will want the other filaments, and you can buy the filament feeder and add it to this, so you can have 4 different colors. It only has 1 extruder nozzle, so it will it'll clear itself out with the old filament color before it prints the new color. So that is one of the things that it will do here, I believe. It's got a little place to capture the spent filament. All right, so that's the major features of this machine as far as I can tell here, just by playing with it for a day. I need to download the manual and look at that. There's a very large and comprehensive manual online. As with what's going on today with technology stuff, they never send you the manual. You're expected to go download it. The availability of a comprehensive manual on their website, you know, accounts for the minimal instructions they give you with the machine. They just give you the quick start guide. You know, you really need to go out to the website and download the manual. Also, Bambu Lab has software for slicing, and you can import various files into that slicer and create the G code. And that's what I did. My boys are getting a little excited here. I don't know what's going on. Butchie, get out of Brubu's food. That may have been what's going on. Butchie's a little, I don't know. He goes over to Brutus's food all the time and then comes back and eats his own. Anyway, what I did with the Apollo capsule is I had the STL file, and so I brought it into the Bambu Lab slicer, sliced it, and prepared the G code within that, and it worked perfectly. It had no issues. So there's a lot of features on this printer that weren't on my Monoprice Mini. So the slicer program has a lot more options to check, and the software, looks pretty straightforward. I think it's as good as any of the other slicers. As I use it, in the shop for various things. I'll share with you its operation and my experience with it. It looks okay right now. I think I got a reasonable machine for what I paid. So it's certainly has a lot more features than my last 3D printer, which 5 years is a big time span in technology. So not surprising. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time.